Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Today's podcast guest is a retired firefighter, a writer, a producer, a performer, a live video host, great musician, and singer as well. He hails from Idaho. Will you please welcome Michael Rose? Michael, welcome aboard, man.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be on the show. That's high praise right off the bat. Take it easy.
No, hey, you deserve all the props that you get here, bud, because I've done my research and found out a lot about you. But first, let's talk about your influences and your humble beginnings. When did you first fall in love with music, and who influenced some of your music stylings?
I'm an eclectic blend of all kinds of different artists. Having grown up raised by my grandparents primarily, I'd go down and visit my mother, and my mother's house was Fleetwood Mac and Donna Summer. I mean, it was such a wild time because I go from Hank Williams Jr. and Johnny Cash and my grandfather who played guitar, and there's a little guitar hanging back there on the wall. It's a little blurred out, but that's actually his guitar. And so somewhere in that, then I started hearing Dan Fogelberg and Neil Young and Loggins and Messina and all these guys. And I'd hear my grandpa play, and there was definitely a style to that. And you could hear that in Locked and Loaded Lonely is a song that we have that we kind of under-released. And what I mean by that is when we put it up, it didn't have a lot of fanfare. It didn't really do much. We'll probably re-release that on Sony, on the Orchard at some point. Because some of these songs we've released on our own accord and they've done okay, but now with the Orchard, we're really excited to be a part of that. And I think we'll definitely get a lot more access to a lot more listeners who are focused on coming after us now that we've people know who we are a little bit. It's been a lot of fun. But as far as influence, yes, there's so much. And we come from such a time where the singer-songwriter just owned it. And I could sit here for a half an hour probably and not even touch, half of the list of people, but it was that singer-songwriter era. It was the fact that the songs were so prolific from that time that I have a song programmed in my head for every event of anything that ever took place in my life, be it happy.
Isn't that amazing? It's music is just a part of our soundtrack of our lives. It just floors me. You mentioned one of my favorite artists there, Dan Fogelberg. I've had the great opportunity to talk to Dan a couple of times before he passed, and definitely one of my favorites. The man could. He could sing anything. He could do anything, write something about something, and he's just a very talented individual. One of my all-time favorites. Sadly, we lost him, and his music still lives on. But I'm very, very blessed to have talked to him twice, and I really that's why I love doing this particular show, because I get a chance to hear how people are connected with other styles of music. And when I was listening to your music, I got a Bob Seger vibe. Was that something you were going for? Because I'm a huge Bob Seger fan, and I heard that. I'm going, this could have been some lost collection of Bob stuff that I was just dumbfounded. But the song, first song we're going to feature, 57 Chevy, I'm sort of going, that is a Bob Seger song right there. And
to quote the great Nicolas Cage, that's high praise. I can't. I have a guitar player, a bass. Well, actually, we have this amazing group, and this is just a fact. And we just rehearsed last night. And what we do is we build songs. And my lead guitarist, Mark Hume, has this tendency to send me little licks in the middle of the night. He'll be up at 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and he'll get this idea, and he'll send me a little recording of a lick, or a piece of the song, maybe verse, chorus. And Mark knows that if he gets something hooky enough in my head, regardless of what time it is, it won't turn off until the song is written. So one night, about 12:30, he sent me, bam, 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 bam. And I was kind of like, oh, that sounds really jolly. I'm not a jolly guy, but at the same time, you don't want everything that you write to have like this melancholy feel either. And a lot of what I used to write were slow, melancholy, heartbreak type of songs. And it really pointed fingers at that particular time of my life. But when Mark sent me that lick, I just heard 57 Chevy when the weekend come. And I was like, okay, that could be something, you know? And then obviously we finished it. We love the song. We played it last night. When we're building songs, we might spend a half an hour building a song. And we have about 10 new songs for everybody coming up in the next, I don't know, month, 2 months. You know, the songs will be done and there's more to come. But I just love hollering out 57 Chevy, 1, 2. And then everybody looks like, wait a minute, I thought we were taking a break. And then we go in and start playing it. And what was so exciting about it was that was the first song that Mark and I had written together. We had worked on some other ideas that have since come to fruition, and we completed the songs. But when we wrote 57 Chevy, I didn't think of it as being Seegerish, but I do know that there have been times when I've been doing live shows in the past, and I do solo shows on occasion, and I have friends that own businesses, and I still have great relationships with the people on the, you know, just one-on-one level. We just hang out. I play some songs by myself. And there's always that one person in the back that goes, "Night moves." And without fail, man. Hey, night moves, man.
My favorite actually was one that he did from Live Bullet. That was "Traveling Man and Beautiful Loser." I could play that song over and over and over again. It originally was a great bathroom break song because it's like 8 minutes long, the two together. But it's like, no, I don't want to miss a single moment of that particular song. I got a chance to see Bob on his final tour too, and it was just wonderful. Tim, let's go ahead and play that song right now. 57 Chevy. Let's go ahead and play that one right now. It is from Michael Rose and his band called Bad Horse right here on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Anytime's the right time, baby, when I'm burning up the track. Morning, noon, and nighttime, honey, drag your nails across my back. Here's a fact: she don't mind if I'm behind when we're coming round the turn. She's all mine at the finish line, so we never crash and burn. 57 Chevy when the weekend comes. No, she can't sing it with me, so she moans and hums. Fly by when I'm heavy, and she slows my roll. 57 Chevy, I'm in cruise control. She got lines that look so fine, makes it hard to watch the road. Little girl got me whipped so high, make a mortal man explode, explode. She don't mind if I'm behind when we're coming round the turn. She's all mine at the finish line, so we never crash and burn. 57 Chevy when the weekend comes. No, she can't sing it with me, so she moans and hums. Fly by when I'm heavy, and she slows my roll. 57 Chevy, I'm in cruise control. She's all mine at the finish line, so we never crash and burn. 57 Chevy, can't sing it with me. So she moans and hums. Fly by when I'm happy, and she slows my roll. 57 Chevy is in cruise control.
Great music right there from Michael Rose and his band called Bad Horse. 57 Chevy. Michael, did you by chance have a 57 Chevy at any point in your life?
Oh, God. I knew you were going to ask me that. When I came up with the hook, 57 Chevy, I was thinking it was kind of lame, like singing about a car. But the song really isn't about a car. It can be now. If you have a 57 Chevy and you want to use it for your car club, great, it fits, it works. But if you listen to the words, she's got lines that look so fine, makes it hard to watch the road. Little girl got me revved so high, make a mortal man explode. I was thinking about a particular woman that would be riding next to me in the 57 Chevy or in whatever car you might be in.
Right,
when you
exactly.
have a beautiful woman as I have. I'm picked. The song is about a woman, and I didn't even know this. This is kind of a little, since I don't want to go too rated R here, but Mark and I were discussing 57 Chevy, and I'm like, it's a good song, but it's a little too poppy for me. It just doesn't have like that
bite.
Yeah, it just seemed a little cheesy, a little too poppy. 57 Chevy, like it's about a car, But then I Googled 57 Chevy, and there's an Urban Dictionary definition of what a 57 Chevy is.
Okay.
And I'll let the listeners do their homework and search that themselves.
Okay, very good. Maybe I'll put an urban link or that link to the. I might do that.
Because that's the 57 Chevy I'm talking about.
Seriously. Well, here's something else. If it worked for Clapton, it'll be fine. I get off on 57 Chevys and screaming guitars. Maybe the curves of that song could also be about a guitar. If you think about that, too.
Well, you know what? It did cross my mind, because if you look at the link prior to us pulling it down, well, you can't see it now, but when I released it through TuneCore, when TuneCore was the distributor on that song, I found this really cool, actually a fan sent us this really cool picture of a Bel Air, a 57 blue and white Bel Air guitar. And it had the lines of the 57 Chevy, but it was a guitar, just so cool. So I used it for the cover of 57.
I saw that. Matter of fact, I did see that, and that is just so cool. As a matter of fact, I saw that. I'm going, yeah, I really like that. We're speaking with Michael Rose of the band called Bad Horse. We're going to hear more of Michael's music here in a second, but I wanted to say thanks so much for tuning in to the Someone You Should Know podcast. Well, you can find us on the World Wide Web at SomeoneYouShouldKnowPodcast.com. There you're going to find our recent news, our archive of past episodes, plus a whole lot more. If you happen to be visiting for the first time, we invite you to go ahead and leave us a review. That's at the bottom of the very first page where the feedback is. Just go ahead and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. We're very pleased that our source that actually does the servicing of sharing our podcast to all the streaming platforms, Buzzsprout, has been very good. Their analytics say that we have reached over 2,000 cities and 85 countries since we signed on October 1st of 2022. Add a couple of cities here: Merritt Island, Florida; Howell Township, New Jersey; Kahului, Hawaii; and Valdemar, France, all part of the podcast family. You can check out the Someone You Should Know podcast wherever streaming audio is available. We're talking to Michael Rose and his band called Bad Horse. Michael, I want to back up a little bit. I read that you were a retired firefighter. There's always been a soft spot in my heart for first responders. You never, ever get the thanks that you really and truly deserve, so I want to say thank you so very much. And at any point during your firefighting career, did you think you were going to become a musician?
I already was.
You already were? Okay. So
yeah, it's an interesting thing is back when I got injured and retired on a knee vent in the house, I fell through a roof and my toe touched my hip, apparently.
Oh, dear Lord.
So that was, but you know what? All glory be to God. My knee healed, but it was a kind of an interesting time where they ended up finding a way to let me go because they had more people than jobs and yada, yada. But the point of it is I remember after retiring, sitting there thinking, I was really depressed, like, who am I now? Now what am I going to do? And I felt like I lost my identity, but it was at that time where I realized being a firefighter was something that I did. It wasn't who I was. Who I was a musician that by necessity had become who I thought I needed to be, or who I needed to be. You know, being a younger man, married with babies, and, you know, you got to work, you got to do these things. And I put the dream of music on hold. I would pull out the guitar every once in a while, maybe write a song or go to a coffee house and play. And that was an interesting time for me. And not to get too dark, and I'll keep this in a cliff note form, but back then I did get depressed after I was retired and didn't know what I was doing, before I had that awakening that being a firefighter wasn't me. It was something I was able to do. I wrote a couple songs, and I was in my house for a year, and I started having really, really severe panic attacks and anxiety, and I was agoraphobic for a year. I didn't go out of my house for 1 year.
Jeez.
And the one thing that kept me sane, well, two things. One, the Word of God, and I'm not a religious man, but I love God. What's true is true. And writing. And I started playing the guitar, and a friend of my mother's called one day and said, hey, you know, when we were over at the house last week and I heard that song you played, there's a little coffee house called Kabunza Kitchen, this little hole in the wall that was like the center of the universe at the time. And I went in there, and I think I probably took a leak like 4 times before they called my name. I was so nervous. I didn't even know how I was going to get up there. But I remember in that moment, this really sweet gentleman with little round glasses walked up to me, and he goes, are you going to sing? And I went, yeah. He goes, what's your name? And I said, Michael Rose. And he goes, Michael Rose, Michael O'Dorn, nice to meet you. And little did I know that Michael O'Dorn was the president of the Chet Atkins Society.
No, my Lord.
one of the greatest finger pickers in the world.
Jeez.
And Michael and I became fast friends. I went up and played. I didn't piss my pants like I thought I was going to. So, but it was that getting out there and playing. And when I played that song, it was a song called Wind. I've never even recorded, and I probably will one day. When I got up and played that song, there was this healing. And there was this healing that went through the people. And there was this collective feeling of love that the music was able to create, this environment of love that everybody just for a few minutes was able to just kind of bask in.
That's really nice.
Yeah. And that was the beginning of my healing. I didn't know it at the time, but then I go write another song, and then I come back and I'd have 2 songs, and then I'd have 3 songs. And pretty soon they said, hey, you know, a lot of people are coming to see you. This is after probably a year of going there.
Yeah.
We want to do a Michael Rose night on Thursday. And I'm like, Michael Rose night? What do you mean? You know, really? And they go, yeah, Michael Rose night every Thursday. So the first Thursday, it's packed. Second Thursday, it's about half packed. Third Thursday, there's like 4 people.
Oh,
2
no.
of them were grandparents. And and I remember walking out front, and my grandfather looks at me, and, you know, he's old Johnny Cash, cowboy poet type.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looks at me and he goes, that was a really good show. But he goes, you know, familiarity breeds contempt, son. And I go, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
He goes, whatever you do, always make sure you keep your ego out of this, because it's not yours. This music isn't for you. This music is through you. And the minute you think it's yours and you put your name on Michael Rose night, and then you'll see it'll start running out of gas. But if you make it about the source and where the music comes from, because I dream half of my songs, Rick, so I can't sit here like, you know, I'm the most prolific dreamer of all time. You know, I dream half of my songs. So how could I take any glory for the ones that I dream or the ones that I'm consciously writing? So anyway, that leads to and wraps up the Bob Seger statement, which is that's when a friend of mine said, you got to do a couple cover songs.
Oh, okay.
Because people like your music, but they don't know it. You got to give them something they know, and then you can share your stuff. So that's when I started going, a little too tall, could use a few pounds. And that's when I started getting, you sound like Bob Seger. And then I would do a different song. I would do Shape of My Heart. And then people go, you sound like Sting. And then who's a huge influence on my writing. Yeah. Probably the greatest influence on my lyric writing is Sting Seeger and Fogelberg and those guys, because I always tried to live up to their standard. They were the bar, and anything that I had that I felt couldn't, and I still haven't written anything up there yet, but at least I if it's not close, it doesn't even get in the song. But yeah, those were the humble beginnings. That's the Bob Seger wrap up. And to this day, not at Bad Horse shows. And that's why we took it was Bad Horse featuring Michael F. Rose. The only reason we did that for a while was so all of the people who knew me before Bad Horse,
okay, all right,
would be able to find. You could search Michael F. Rose and go, oh, there it is. But this band is Bad Horse. This isn't featuring anybody. This is Bad Horse featuring Bad Horse. We've got Mark Hume, one of the greatest, he's going to hate me for this, but one of the greatest guitar players in the world, one of the most eccentric. I don't even, just listen to this guy's solos. He's a really smart,
very good,
really smart player and writer. Bob Umphris, who I call my spirit animal. If it wasn't for Bobby, Bobby's like the glue, mm-hmm. Bobby's the guy. I used to be the flamethrower. Bobby's the glue. He's the guy going, hey, Michael, you got to be patient, man. You got to slow down. Come over here. Slow down. That's Bobby. We have Flip Perkins playing drums. Flip is a beast. And I dare say, I don't know, he's got to be in the top whatever percentage of the world, but he's definitely the best drummer in the state of Idaho.
Jeez, that's incredible.
And then we just added James Brown. I like James Brown, son. James Brownson. Which is so cool. And in the spirit of it all, Rick, this is how weird I am. And I don't blame it on all the psilocybin from years past, but I do attribute and credit it a little bit to that open thinking. Is I was meditating, and I was talking to my son, Lazarus, my 21-year-old amazing son. I already mentioned Michael Jr. and my three daughters. I've got Tristan and Aubrey and Emma. They're the loves of my life. And I've got grandbabies. And anyway, back to the point. Lazarus comes in one day and he goes, hey, Dad, I got a great band name. And I go, what is it? And he goes, Rick James Brown. You guys should be called Rick James Brown. And I go, son, that is the funkiest, coolest name I've ever heard, but we're not funky enough to be Rick James Brown. I wouldn't even try to take that name. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about that for a couple of days jokingly and came up with some other names. This is back when we were looking for Bad Horse. We were looking for something that sounded like the music felt, and I wanted it to be a collective. I didn't this Michael F. Rose band stuff, a bunch of baloney. I'm just a part of a team. And it wasn't a week later. All of a sudden, Bobby's like, hey, have you heard of James Brownson? And I go, who's James Brownson? And he goes, he's a keyboard player. He messaged me. He's interested in coming over and jamming. I go, well, make sure he knows everything when he shows up. Well, as much as he could, right? Make sure he does his homework, because our rehearsals aren't learning songs. Our rehearsals are coming in and building songs, trying to refine them and do the live show, like Mark says, to do the show shit, right, so to speak, the live show stuff. Morning, baby. And in that, we have formed this collective of, I can't even put my finger on it, Rick, but all I know is last night, we have a new song called Real Love. We have a new song called Every Time She Cries, or Every Time You Cry. I can't, Wind. We have all these new songs.
I'm looking forward to adding all these later, maybe having you back on later this year as you get all these things published and actually out on vinyl or whatever. Next song we're going to feature is called Nothing New Under the Sun. What's the backstory on Nothing New Under the Sun?
Oh, God, it was a tough one. It was a couple years ago, I went through a breakup, and it was during COVID, and it was just the weirdest time. And the song really says it all. Lyrically, I think that song from start to finish, and that was one of those songs that I wrote in, it maybe took an hour. It wasn't one of those songs that I beat up for 4 days and kind of glued together. This one just happened. So yeah, Nothing New Under the Sun is a song about just that. It's just everything you do, everything you try to do. The only thing that really matters in the end is love, because there's nothing, you can try anything and everything you want to try in this world, but at the end of the day, all you need is love.
There
and
you
that's
go.
really what
I think I've heard that. I think I've heard that someplace before.
Yeah, there was this guy way back when he used to sing that, I thought, right?
I think I saw that on TV somewhere. Nothing new under the sun. Michael Rose, right now in his band called Bad Horse on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
I know, clean up the glass from all the rocks I've thrown. Now it's very clear that you leaving is driving me crazy. Now if you wanna go, then go. But before you leave, you need to know. If you wanna stay, we'll pray that somehow things get better. Downtown to all those bars we close, looking like a goddamn fool, cause everybody knows that the path you chose left me a long while thinking that maybe your heart left long ago, but your head's still here. Well, I'm dancing like King David, full of prophecy and fear. Now you're free, I feel, and from my cell I'm calling out.
Sun from Michael Rose and his band called Bad Horse. Good song right there on the Someone You Should Know podcast. So glad to have them on board today. The next facet, since you've been at this for quite a while, is called Tales from the Road. These are those infamous road stories where things didn't necessarily go as planned. You get to a gig and you realize the gig has been canceled, but no one told you. Or you get there and you plug in and all the power blows. Or you plug in or you get there and all of a sudden a storm comes through and no one shows up or something like that. Just kind of think your Spinal Tap moment. What would you say would be your tales from the road?
I think my road tale is when we first started this project, being so excited to share it, that I was booking it at venues where I really believed that the management was on board with marketing, and everybody's gung-ho, and we're spending a month or more marketing shows, and then we would draw, and the house wouldn't do anything. And we'd get up there and work our ass off, for a couple hours, and we're looking out, we're like, nobody's here. And we're putting on this show that I'm thinking in my mind, man, we could open for anybody in the world. And we're on the stage, and this is me rooting for my guys. This isn't me tooting my own horn. I'm just saying this band can hold its own with anybody because of the musicianship that God blessed me with, that I surrounded myself with, because I've always been blessed with surrounding myself with people who are better at what I'm trying to do than I am. Mm-hmm. And that's what this band is. And I'm up there with these phenomenal players, and we're doing this hell of a show. And I think there was like 7 people.
Yeah.
And our photographer, Sarah Powell, amazing photographer. She's a friend of the band. She's a sweetheart. Sarah Powell Photography. She's wonderful. She does all of our live pics. And we finally took a break. We usually don't take a break like a cover band. We do a show, but we're like, you know what? And we'll be right back. And we walk off stage, and they turn on some house music. And Sarah walks up and goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know that your energy is different."
Mm-hmm.
And I went, yeah, I'm not getting fed. I'm not getting that adrenaline.
Right.
I'm not getting, there's no reciprocation here. It's just me giving and giving and giving and giving, which, it kind of reminds me of my relationship life I used to have. I give and give and give, and I'm not getting fed. And I said, thank you for letting me know that. And right before, we took about a 10-minute break, and right before we went back up on stage, Bobby, my big music brother, Bobby comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Michael, let's play for us, man."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "I don't care if there's anybody here. Let's play for us." And I wasn't slouching, but when I play, man, I disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And the shows I love it. And they were right. My energy was down, and I was basing my exuberance on that crowd reaction. Right, and I knew this was a level that I had to get through to get to that. And that's exactly what it was. So we went up there, and I played my ass off for my guys.
Mm-hmm. And here's the nice thing about that is you didn't have an ego that said, well, that's BS, man. I'm doing my best out here, blah, blah, blah. You actually took the constructive criticism from your photographer and your bandmates and said, You know something? You're absolutely right. This is about us. And whether you play for 1 or you play for 100,000 people, the show's got to be the same. Got to be the same. Speaking of shows, anything on the tour docket so far for 2024 that we should know about?
Well, with nothing new coming out on the Orchard, we're looking at big records who Mark Rosner and Tara and Jenny and Eileen and everybody at Big Records who's helping us build this worldwide fan base. So it's just an amazing group of people on this team. And that's what we did. We took our little 5 collective of this project and Sarah, and we just started being so blessed with all these amazing teammates. And now they're a tour in Canada in the end of summer 2024. I'm really excited about that. We're not a bar band anymore. We used to do bars. Now we're a song building recording project that sends music worldwide. And then when the shows are right, then we'll go do the live shows.
Good. Because
like that show I mentioned where no one was at, I'm not going to drag my guys to venues that I have a saying, an old Stoic saying, which is, I won't be where my presence isn't appreciated.
There you go.
Whether that's a relationship or that's, a music venue. And listening rooms are the places that we're looking for. Opening acts on tour are the shows that we're after. And that's what Big Records is helping us, build right now. It's keeping your chops, and it's just for the love of the music. You have to be careful though. If you play places, and this goes out to all artists out there. I mean, if you go play for $20 and a beer, that's fine. But if you're an artist and if you're trying to make a career out of this, get paid what you're worth, because we don't have a union here necessarily, right? So these indie artists, I'm not going to go play a place. I can't take these I keep picturing them surrounding me. I can't take these professional musicians to a $500 show. Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
It's just not a thing. I won't. I've done it in the past. And like I said, back we were set up the show and nobody's there. And I got these guys. I have their hearts and responsibility for these cats. So it's a really big deal that we do the right shows, and that morale has to be considered. And, you know, this is about getting this collective who now this Bad Horse Project has ownership over the songs that we build together. So the music industry is a whole new world now. It's not what it was back in the day. You know, I think Napster came and changed it, right?
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah. So when Napster showed up, all of a sudden it's like, hey, streams and downloads, those are great. But those just give you the notoriety. So you can then, and it's a beautiful technique if you want to use it. You go on whatever your distribution company is, you go into stats, you look and see where your music's hot, and that's where you go play. Mm-hmm. Most importantly, like with this, Rick, with you and I, we get to build relationships and new friendships. And the music is about the love and sharing the love and building relationships and seeing people who have been at shows before and meeting new people. And if you keep it there, it just really seems to get legs of its own and just keeps on trucking.
Exactly. That's what this podcast is all about. I'm not making any money off of it. This is purely out of love. This is purely out of love of helping others, the love of music. And I've been told for decades, music died in the 70s. And I said, no, you just got to look. You got to look. You got to have your ears open. You got to be, you got to be open to new things. And in this case here, this show exposes my listeners on a worldwide level to music that they probably never would have heard of. In this case here, Michael Rose and Bad Horse, the music is phenomenal. And as a matter of fact, I want people to find a little bit more about you and where you're going to be. How about links to your socials?
Our primary page right now, we've got the Bad Horse. It's Bad Horse featuring Michael F. Rose. We'll take that off soon. You can Google, search Bad Horse. Michael F. Rose, it's still kind of tagging it. We're still bringing those two together. So either one or the other, but primarily Bad Horse. 2 words. There's another outfit out there who does great work, I think, who's Bad Horse, all caps, name stuck together, but it's a whole different thing. And there's so many bands now. You know, it's hard to
exactly.
name that somebody else does.
When I originally came up with the Someone You Should Know podcast, I was going, I think it was on TikTok. I was the third one. I'm going, and then I go to the other 2, and it's like there's like 1 entry. And I'm going, it's like, come on. So whatever it might be. So what I'm going to do is in the show notes, I'm going to include the links to all the socials there. And by all means, I want everyone to stay in tune to what's going on with this band, because there's new music coming out. They're going to be hitting the road at some point, and they might be coming to a town near you, and you're not going to know unless you stay in tune. Final song we're going to feature is called Still America. What a great song this is. Great way to wrap up the show. What's the backstory on Still America?
It's me trying to describe how it felt growing up when America was more united, when we were all pushing cars in a gas line in the late 70s, when like on 9/11, when everybody had an American flag on their car, and everybody just, we had to join together, regardless of what predicated that entire, we won't even go down that rabbit hole, right? But whatever happened on that day, we know what the event was, but whatever, did it, we can talk about that in a whole different light, but it brought the country together. And when I wrote, there's only 2 streetlights in my hometown, we shot one out, the other shining down on a sweet old gal who shuts her eyes while all the kids in the neighborhood run and hide. She loves it when they're all together, her rocking chair and homemade beer. She turns and whispers to her neighbor who's only lived here for a year, it's still America here. That's how I felt when I moved to Idaho. And particularly a little town called Kuna, Idaho, and another one called Horseshoe Bend. And that's how I felt. And that woman sitting in the rocking chair is my mother.
I'll be darned.
And my late mother. And that was her. You know, she was always playing with the grandkids and the kids in the neighborhood. And the second verse is about my grandfather. And my grandfather was a World War II Korea vet. My father was he's still with us, thank God. Hi, Dad. I'm happy that your surgery went well. He just had a procedure for a cancer issue that we're praying everything will work with. It looks like he's doing okay. But yeah, this song is about...
It's about you and your family. Exactly.
It's about me and my family, but it's about the American family.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's about what this country felt like, what it was, and what it could be if we could cut through the bullshit and the narrative that the government's dropping on us to keep us all divided by political party or color or whatever football team you like. I mean, who gives a shit about what jersey you have on? In the end, we're all American, regardless of race, color, or creed. And if we could just take a little step above that and just get back to that love and, the love of the 60s, the love movie, that's great. But we have to have a focus when we get there, because the problem with the whole love, love, love thing is it becomes everyone's different idea of love. And that can get a little bizarre. And that can often turn into different churches that drink Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah, exactly. And another thing, Michael, as far as when you were a firefighter, when you went into a burning building, you didn't give a darn whether they were black, white, green, purple, anything, as far as that goes. You didn't care what their sexual preference was. You just know you had to save someone's life. And that's what it's all about. And that's exactly it. We're speaking with Michael Rose. The band is Bad Horse. A lot of big things on the horizon for this band. You definitely want to keep them on your radar. And I thank Michael for taking time to be with us today, man. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Everybody listen to this and share this show, not for the purpose of me, but what Rick Anthony is doing for independent artists and for musicians and just for the art. Just be happy that we are able to, with our giftings, be a part of such an amazing arts community. And it's not just music. There's other arts that matter too. And the world has never needed love and art more than it does now. So keep it up, Rick.
There's only 2 street lights in my hometown. We shot one out, the other shining down on a sweet old gal who shuts her eyes, while all the kids in the neighborhood run and hide. She loves it when they roll together, a rocking chair and homemade beer. She turns and whispers to her neighbor, who's only lived here for a year. It's still America here. Still America, still America here, still America. We got a 2-lane street in this 1-horse town. Lean left at the fork, you can follow it down to an old man fishing by a railroad track, where the soldiers leave town and never come back. Wasn't sure why he saluted, hadn't seen that train in years. Oh, glory painted on that engine. Then it all came crystal clear. It's still America here, still America, still America here. In God we trust is what I know. I'm half evil, Knievel, half G.I. Joe. Now my church on Sunday is a fishing hole, where Jesus' energy can save your soul. When I walk down by the river, oh, I talk to God down there. Play my guitar while she's singing, and she belts out crystal clear. It's still America here, still America, still America here, still America, it's still America here. Still America, still America, still America.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for tuning in to this episode of the Someone You Should Know podcast. Before I go, I want to share some friends of mine who also have a podcast. Give them a listen, and I invite you to check us out next time right here on the Someone You Should Know podcast. All right, here's my friends right now from the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Hey, everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike
with the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast, coming to you from the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in Joliet, Illinois.
Where once a week we are interviewing local musicians and singer-songwriters. And the podcast itself covers a wide range of topics, including, but not limited to, the history of rock and roll in Chicago, the current state of the scene, and the challenges and opportunities facing musicians today.
So join us every Tuesday for a new exciting episode of the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.